Hello. I just realized I had music playing. You didn't hear it. I didn't have that audio source going on that scene, but the music was terrible. Since I got rid of Spotify, I have not been able to find a solution for playing music on stream. Streambeats doesn't support YouTube Music, which is the thing I use rather than Spotify. Regardless, welcome. Welcome. This is a new experiment I'm undertaking. This is an idea my wife and I had because one of the themes that I really wanted to get across in my work this year, I decided this like early in the year. I was like, I'm going to set a theme that I want to stick to this year. And I haven't really gotten to do as much of it as I might like, is that vulnerability is the same thing as strength. Vulnerability is strength. It is not merely, we often treat vulnerability as like a nice to have, as though being vulnerable is a sign of being strong. And I think that unless you can be vulnerable, you are not yet strong. And I think the ultimate goal of strength is to get to a point where you're not afraid of showing vulnerability. To that end, here is the idea for this project. This is called Weekends, spelled with an A, like we're weak, right? Because we're not afraid of being weak, okay? It is a celebration of vulnerability. I am going to encourage chat members, and this is something I really want to highlight. I want everybody to come to these videos with a kind of, like, think about it throughout the week and come back with like something you did that you were scared to do. And so that everyone in chat can like talk you up and tell you what a great job you're doing. Because I think that's what people need. People go through life, and this is something I experience a great deal, and I see in others a great deal. People go through life afraid to suck. People are afraid to suck at things. I'm afraid to suck at things. You're afraid to suck at things. But that's holding back everybody, right? Because the only way to ever get good at something, as Jake the dog famously said, is to suck at it at first. It's the first step towards getting good at something. We all have to do it, all of us. So in this stream, you're going to watch me struggle. You're going to watch me express my vulnerability. And I hope that some of you can come and share some stories that you're comfortable sharing about ways that you did it scared this week. Doing it scared is when you feel like you can't do something, when you feel like you're not good enough to do something, and you do it anyway. And whether or not you succeed, just doing it, just trying, that is a victory. And that's the mindset I want to get into people's heads. So that's my thinking. It's a little cheesy, but I truly believe this. And I hope that if we can all kind of get into the habit of letting go of that fear of inadequacy, because that actually makes people worse at things. I think that, you know, if you're afraid that you're not going to be good enough, you're never going to put in the work to get good. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think you get the idea. But so this is what we do. We want everybody to go out there and suck at shit, and we want everybody to do it scared. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. And this scares the absolute fucking shit out of me. So here's the thing. Those of you who were around for my last stream, you saw that I showed my university webcomic, and it was full of like problematic shit. It was terribly drawn. But I showed it, and I was very proud of it. I'm still very proud of it. And I was talking to my wife afterwards, and she said, you know, well, what do you want? What did you want to get out of this? And I said, I don't know. I guess like I worked so hard on it, I wanted people to see it, right? And she said, why? And I said, well, I guess because, you know, I want to tell these stories. Like, I want to make a comic book at some point in my life. And I guess, I did. And nobody watched it, and it kind of left this like scar, right? So she said, well, why aren't you making it? And I said, I'm not good enough to make it. And she said, well, okay, but like, then when are you going to be? And I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer for that question. She was, and because like, to pull back the curtain a little, my wife is presently leaving her shitty corporate job to follow her dream. And I've been trying to encourage her in that process. And she's just like, one of the things you've said to me a lot is we're both too old to do something we're not excited about doing. Like, it's, if we don't start now, we just never get there, right? And you can believe in me enough to do that, but you won't do that for yourself. You won't do the thing you want to do. And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, okay, here's the accountability part of it. Here's the accountability part of it is you are modeling that behavior for your audience. You are showing them that it's okay to like be afraid and not chase what it is you want. And I was like, because if it was just me, I could rationalize it, right? If I was not hurting anyone but myself, I could rationalize it away. But the idea that I'm not showing up for other people, I'm not living the values that I am espousing was like it's like, okay, yeah, no, she's right. So I am going to, over this series, I'm going to make a comic book. And then I'm going to take that comic book, which, I'm going to gather it together and I'm going to host it somewhere on like a pay what you can service for people to buy if they want it. And even if no one buys it, I will have done it. So, right? I will have overcome my fear of doing it. I will have done it. And even if it's not good enough, it will be done. And so you are also going to look for opportunities, I hope, to do things that you want to do, but you secretly believe you will fail at. And I want you to go out there and fail. Go out there, fail, and fail often. Fail early, fail often. Just do it scared. That's the idea that we're bringing here. And so, couple things. This is a positive space. If you want to tell a story where you failed at something and it's funny, that's fine, but nobody here is allowed to shame anyone or make anyone feel bad for failing at something. And if I see it, you're out, you're banned, you're done. Okay, let's get that out of the way. This is a space where your failure is to be celebrated, your vulnerability is to be celebrated, and your bravery at doing things that scare you is to be celebrated. That is the idea, right? So the term weekends is kind of ironic in that sense. So I'm very overwhelmed with the positivity in chat. Thank you so much. This first stream, I figure what we're going to do is I'm going to work on just some basic character designs for the characters. It's going to be an update of the comic that I made in university. That if you saw the last stream, you'll be familiar with it. If not, it's okay. You'll catch up as I'm making the comic. And the other thing is that I've been looking for a long time, and the absolute truth of it, I've been watching this series by a Let's Player that I absolutely love. His name is Dan Giesling. He's a friend of Northern Lion, the Binding of Isaac Let's Player. And he did a series where he went from not having played the Binding of Isaac to getting all of the achievements, but he did it within a few months. So his goal was to do it by the end of 2021. And as that went on, it became this community project where like memes evolved and like the audience kind of interacted with him in this interesting way. And I wanted something like that. I wanted something like where with an audience, we come together to accomplish a goal And so it's not just my victory, it's everybody else's victory. And through that, it develops a sense of like community progression. Like we're working on the jokes together, we're working on the thing together, because I think that that is just very fun, and I think that is kind of the thing that's exciting to me about live streaming, right? Is that that kind of interactivity. So that's the goal. This is a series about getting scared and doing it anyway. Now I have to rearrange my desk so that I can get my drawing tablet. Yeah. By the way, if anyone has an idea for how I can play copyright-free music, I'm all ears, because I would, by necessity, part of drawing means that I'm going to get quiet sometimes. So I would, I can't, without Spotify, I can't play Stream Beats, so I don't really know what to do on that front. A bit off topic from the stream, though, I want to ask you whether the furry fandom has a classism issue, like they have a huge overcorrection from degenerate suitors to high-paying IT jobs. I don't really know. I'm not really, I don't have my finger on the pulse of the furry community, though I will say that a lot of the people that pay me to draw their patron doodles are furries for understandable reasons. Every struggling artist should learn to draw animals, because furries will get you the big bucks. This is the thing. I would assume that there is a classism problem among furries, in the same way that, because furries are just, people. So people have a classism issue. I can't imagine that anything about liking the way animals look is going to change that. But, there are cool furries, cool based furries, like Casey Explosion, for example. Shout out Casey. Tons of based furries, as evidenced by the amount of furries that pay me to draw their doodles, who are all based, as evidenced by the fact that they gave me $10. Am I using StreamYard? I am not. I don't 100% know what that is. Any lewd drawings? There will not be lewd drawings in this stream. I don't know if the comic calls for it. If the story I'm telling calls for nudity or sexuality, I'm not going to shy away from it. I don't know. I don't know exactly the TOS on that. I think you can play music if you have a DJing program that lets you mix and mash songs together. Become a Marxist-Leninist. Okay, but because you asked. Only because you asked so nicely. So I'm committed to the immortal science of Marxism-Leninism now. My favorite furry is Carpet Samples. I want to put him in a post-apocalyptical story where he's an occult deity worshipped by lesser furries. You don't mean literal carpet samples, I assume. Do you want to keep constructive criticism out of this space for when people share things? Depends on whether or not they ask for it. And it depends on what you mean by constructive criticism. I would say that even constructive criticism that is meant that you think has the potential to maybe hurt someone's feelings, this is not the space for it. I think there is obviously value in receiving constructive criticism, but I don't think that this is the space to do it. Because here, what we're specifically trying to counter is people's fear of doing things, not whether or not they're doing things well, right? So I think that telling people that like the technical mistakes, unless they specifically ask for that feedback, I think could have the unintended consequence of shaming people and making them afraid to do things in the future. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Good clarification. Make one of the characters a furry. Todd the Bat, I think, is arguably a furry. My name is Mitch, legally as of yesterday. Congratulations. One of my closest friends is named Mitch, though he prefers to go by Mitchell. So I guess you and I will never be that close because of the name you prefer. All right. Sometimes, yeah, my tablet's doing that thing again. Got to change the work area. 1 second. 1 second. So obviously, first character we're going to redraw is Ollie, who's going to be both a more likable character, but conversely, less of a self-insert character. How about now? Still no, huh? Works with the mouse, not working with the tablet. 1 second. 1 second, everybody. I might have to close Clip Studio. This happens. Yeah, I would say that getting your name legally changed is probably a really good example of doing it scared. That's got to be a scary thing to do, albeit something that ultimately quite worthwhile. Okay. Also, one of the best things about this tablet, by the way, it's got programmable hotkeys. So if I do this, I can flip my canvas, and that allows you to check for errors. One of my favorite things about it. Asher Mix, thank you for the super chat. Thank you as well to the person I missed earlier. Gave a little sticker. Let me just scroll up here. Case, thank you. Thank you. Names are just personalized pronouns, in a sense. Okay. What kind of tablet do I have? I have a Huon Pro 12, which is the tablet I would recommend to anyone who is not a professional artist, but someone who wants to take art a little bit seriously, because it is it's not quite as expensive as something like a Wacom, but it is it's a full view screen, so I can actually see what I'm drawing on, and it's got like programmable keys. It's got all the sensitivity settings and stuff. It's quite good. Okay, so we're going to do a rough sketch at first. I'm thinking I want him to... also, my doing it scared moment this week was completing a coding assignment for an SDE2 position for Amazon. I don't know what SDE2 means, but congratulations on completing your coding assignment. I knew someone that worked for Amazon, and it wasn't ideal for them, but I hope you hope it works out for you. But yeah, that's the ultimate, like doing stuff like that, having to do work that has like material consequences on your daily life. That is quite scary. Should I move my camera down so you can see my face even when I'm looking down? Because now you can't see the top of my head when I look up. What's more important to you, do you think? Okay. So, oh, my hand is shaking. That's how scared I am right now. This is just like a very rough outline because we want to get like, I don't want to draw like very precise. I just kind of want to get a feel for how I want the character to look, and then we'll work on tightening up the design, is how this is going to work. Not using MS Paint. I'm using Clip Studio Pro. Fantastic product. I've been using it for years. It's $60 to get the Pro license, and it's one of those programs that like I spent the $60 on it, and it is paid for itself several thousand times over. I do want him to be a bit of a sad sack, so I'm drawing him sad. By the way, excuse me if I make the expressions that I'm drawing. I'm not. I can't help that. I'm not an animator, actually. I wish I were. I'm merely an illustrator. But animation would be something. Maybe that's if we can finish the comic and get it done. Maybe that's what we can work on next. I mean, I kind of animated Bobby Duke, but that's mostly because the program I used automated it. Just shut up. Are we bringing back mild-mannered jerks? It's probably not going to be called that, but sort of. So this is no, I don't like that. Images should not move. He's the star of the channel. Pretty good impression, right? That I just did of Bobby. I'm also kind of not used to drawing without like doing a bunch of exercises to. I should have a more prepared person would have done this ahead of time, just stretched out a little bit. Also, I this is something I might start doing in the future, but I usually like to do a warm-up sketch of Spider-Man. That's always my my warm-up, because Spider-Man is so difficult to draw that I'm like, just draw a little shitty Spider-Man and that'll get you kind of in the right headspace. So I want him to be very simple to draw so that I can reliably reproduce it. You know what I mean? So I'm going with very basic shapes. Linda McKnight, thank you for the super chat. Warm-ups, slime warm-ups, don't injure yourself drawing. I won't injure myself. My hand isn't hurting. It's just, it's shaking because I'm nervous and probably a little dehydrated. To be honest with you, I've been working out a lot lately, and a long-time slimeheads will know I have an issue with sweating a great deal, and it's especially bad when I work out. So I will work out for like an hour, and by the end of it, I have lost like 2 pounds of water. So I basically cannot drink enough water at this point. You promised vulgarity, and all I see is priceless art. I don't remember promising vulgarity. So this is just tightening up the sketch a little. This has kind of turned out pretty good for like a first attempt, I think. Kind of want him to have glasses. You should consider who will play them in a Netflix adaptation. I wouldn't let Netflix adapt them. Is the answer to that question. So he's kind of slumped over, sad little guy. I think I want to simplify this design a little bit because I do feel like it's going to be a bit too complicated to repeat over and over. I really needed the latest vid. Oh, thank you. You know, that's another thing. Sometimes I worry. I worry when I get really, I don't know the word. I don't know a positive way to put it, but like sometimes at the end of the video like that, I get very positive, I guess is the word I'm kind of dancing around, but I always try to be uplifting in a video like that because I know it's very heavy subject matter, and I worry that sometimes it's like it's too much and people are like, why is this person being like this? But I've heard from enough people that like they really needed to hear it that I'm glad I made that decision. But I think that there's a kind of fear of that sincerity that I think because a lot of people like make fun of that shit, and I get that because it's funny, but like I don't know, sometimes you gotta weigh like you gotta weigh those things, like you just gotta say what you believe and let people roast you for it, I guess. Okay. So like, just like the most sad sack. So like, to let you behind the curtains, because you're gonna like, I'll like let you in on the story as we're going, because you're gonna see it as we're drawing it anyway. Um, Ollie's backstory is that there was an event where creation was going to be destroyed, and it was because of a laser weapon that was going to destroy all of creation, but it happened to hit him first. So the way that God chooses to fix this problem is to make Ollie invincible, invulnerable, so that he cannot be destroyed, and therefore creation cannot be destroyed. But while doing this, God mentions to him that Ollie's like, why me? And God's like, you were just there. You really don't deserve it. Like, you're not good enough for this, but you just happen to be in the right place. And so he goes through life with this idea that he's just completely worthless, and because he heard it from God. Like, God told him, like, no, you're not good enough. And like, hearing that from God is gonna fuck up someone, right? So that's his kind of comedic backstory, but also quite sad. That arm is way too big. You should have spindly little weak boy arms. And like the yeah, it must have been the woke radical leftists. The so like the first few stories are about him having to, very much in line actually with the themes of this project, him having to learn to be okay with the fact that or learning to believe in himself despite the fact that he believes he has like incontrovertible evidence that he should not. Slime Borgle, what program is this? This is Clip Studio Pro. So he's when the story begins, he's living a life that he's very much unhappy with. He's kind of he's working a dead end job, and he is not doing anything that that he enjoys, and he's just kind of like depressed and lonely. And then it's as he learns to embrace his powers and abilities, and consequently have to deal with more people and get out and find community, he kind of opens up and becomes a more confident person. Does God get his name wrong too? No, God knows his name. That's the idea, right? Is that like you are being told by an omnipotent being that you are not good enough. Am I an inactivist? Yeah, probably. I think that would be a fair criticism. Like, if you're expecting me to like break down at this, how dare you say that to me? I don't know. Probably. A picture kind of like, oh, those eyes are way too far apart. This eye is the problem. Little art hack you can use, by the way. If you ever want to know where to place an eye, and this works even though my use of it may not always work out. So human beings basically have a very good idea of telling faces. So if you draw one eye and then cover up the other side of the face with your thumb, you can always kind of tell where the other eye should be. And then just remove your thumb and draw it there is the idea. How old is the character? I'm thinking like 25, thereabouts. I always think of him as 25. But at this point, I am so far removed from like what a 25-year-old's life experience is, you know? This will take quite some time with chat interaction. Yeah, I mean, it's a process that I need to hone, right? Like it's, we're learning as we go. Also, forgive me for zooming in and zooming out so much. I have to do that when I draw. Um, yeah, just get used to that. Can someone explain the title of the stream? I just arrived. You know what I should do is I should put in like a command that explains this so that the audience isn't forced to do it for me. But it's here we're doing things we're afraid of and celebrating the art of sucking, learning to suck more, try harder, suck more. Was just 25, unemployed the whole time. My wife was chronically ill, top marks in depression, all still true at 26. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that, but I'm happy that you got such good marks. That's got to be something at least. It's very common for digital artists. Oh, I know. It's just that it annoys the shit out of some people watching. The art of sucking? Yes, I'm aware of the double entendre. I very much, I wanted to call this stream Sucky Saturdays and Sucky Sundays, but my wife talked me out of that. His chin is too big, makes him look too handsome. There we go. So then we're going to want a little shoulder here. This is my just kind of connect those. It's kind of a cheat because it's in order for this pose to make sense, like you would just have to have no neck, but that's kind of how I see him, as just always kind of hunched up and like guarded and, you know. Do I receive monies for views from YouTube Premium users on demonetized videos and or on these streams? Not on demonetized videos. On the streams, I believe so. I've never really looked at the monetization with that granularity, but a surprising amount of the money that I get from YouTube comes from YouTube Premium, which, like, I don't know anyone that has it, but I guess it just pays better to get like a view from someone with YouTube Premium than an ad view, which surprises me. Also, I feel like in this comic his tie is too neat. I have never managed to have a tie that is that neat. I don't want to go full Dilbert, but he should kind of look scrungly, you know? Like he's a depressed guy, so he shouldn't be putting that much effort into his appearance. And the reason he's in a suit, by the way, is he is the assistant manager at a plus size women's clothing store. Is his job. And there will be no jokes that are fat shamey about that. It's just a job that like he could not possibly benefit from as a thin dude. I just like what would be like the job that the most bureaucratic, um, useless job for him, and that's I think it's a very funny job for him to have. Maybe if the knot is off center. Yeah, yeah. How would that look? I'm guessing like that. And his shoulder is way too big there. This raises the question, is this an excuse to draw thick women? Probably not, because I don't think he's going to spend like a lot of time at work in the comic. I think like it's mainly when I think about like the stories I tell him at work, it's him dealing with his boss more so than anything else. Okay, I like the first one better. Let's go ahead and move these closer together so we have a bit more room to draw here. And then we move both of these to the side. We'll find out if Dadam shows up. Deirdre will definitely show up, but her look is going to be significantly less dominatrix and significantly more Batman. Because that is a joke I think I have outgrown. Wrong tool. I like to use the pencil tool while sketching because it gives you these like light lines, and I like to remember to draw very light and then thick over it. This is just basic art stuff, but I'm explaining the process just in case anyone doesn't draw or doesn't use digital art. These are, I mean, even with like a pen or pencil, like that's how you do it. But just like to explain, gives me something to talk about. Is Batman not a dominatrix then? No. Batman is categorically not a dominatrix. Every character can be viewed on two axes: good, evil, dominatrix, sub, and Batman is in the direct center of those two axes. Haven't played guitar in a while and was asked to help start a shoegaze band. A definite departure from my usual self-depreciating comedic folk punk, trying to actually take my stuff seriously. Matt Nags, that is an excellent example of doing it scared. Congratulations. Everybody congratulate them in chat. That is vulnerability at its finest. Letting go of your coping mechanisms and actually doing the thing you are passionate about takes guts, and that is something we celebrate around here. I draw, but always get defeated by my skill level. So thanks for the tips. Well, your skill level is never going to get better unless you suck at drawing first. So watch me as I struggle, and you will hopefully learn that it's okay. It's okay not to be perfect. Your art is for you. It's not for anybody else. I always draw, I don't know why. I always, when I'm doing like cartoony drawings, I draw like a normal head shape and then I cut parts of it off to make them look smaller. Okay. This is like how I like to do a nose. I don't know where I picked up this tip, but I like to draw two triangles. And what this represents is the lower plane of the nose and the upper plane of the nose. And then I like to figure out where everything sits from that. So then you draw you two. He's got a pretty big nose because he's meant to be. Well, when I originally drew him, he was kind of a caricature of how I saw myself, and I do see myself as having a big, wide nose. So that's kind of how I always drew him. But once you've got the nose, you can kind of figure out where everything is meant to go. Like this. Ocarina of Time nose, exactly. Cuteness aggression moment right now. What is so cute? I don't think it should be that wide. Okay. And I like to draw his eyes kind of like sideways, like 45-degree tilted eggs is how I like to think of them. This is not right, by the way, because it emphasizes the sadness in his eyes. I want him to look sad. Hey, will there be some way for blind people to access this story? Asking because I am one, and thanks for that ADHD video. It's going to be a difficult one, right? Because this one's all about visual art. I don't really. I'm open to suggestion on that, but I don't really know how I could convey that to blind people. That's just the truth. I'm sorry. But I'm again. If there's a way, I would love to hear some ideas. I'm kind of describing as I go, but I mean, how interesting is that if you can't see it? I don't know. Excellent question, though. I think like the eventual comic that is made, I could make accessible for blind people with kind of described the way that they do like described video. I imagine I could do that. Or like even just alt text, like you do in an image on Twitter. Like I could just describe, what is happening. But the actual streams, it's going to be difficult. I don't know. I'm curious if you've ever heard of Roger Vanderweed. I have not. I have not that I recall. So he's kind of, you know what I mean? 45-degree eggs. And then you... Now, see, right now I can tell there's something wrong here, but my eye is not skilled enough to know what it is. So this is a great opportunity. You flip the canvas. Actually, that does look right when I flip it. Never mind. Flipping the canvas, the reason that is a useful thing to do is because when you look at something for so long, your brain kind of gets used to it and you miss details. But when you flip the canvas, it's like your brain is seeing it for the first time and everything sticks out to you. So that is why that is something that you'll notice digital artists doing quite a bit. Is this the King Cuck origin story? The King Cuck origin story was that I don't like looking at my own face. So I wanted to make a video with a visual element where I didn't have to see myself. And I noticed that in a lot of videos, the kind of people I was making fun of and responding to always drew themselves looking really cool, and I wanted to draw myself looking like a complete asshole, looking just like as shitty and miserable and you know, as I could. Uh, and so I just drew myself like bulbous and hideous, and people did not really get the joke. I've never had the canvas flip trick work for me. Well, I mean, it doesn't work for everybody, I guess, but I don't know. It's a thing you can try if you find that. One thing that I find I do quite like about my art, if I may be so bold, is that while I think I lack a great deal in technical skill, one thing I'm quite good at, I think, is making characters look expressive. I'm very good at capturing emotion, I feel. So like you can tell I feel like even in this sketch, like how this character feels, like you get a sense. Got like little stubblies, little loopies. Because it's not sideburns, it's just like unkept, is the idea. I'm liking this. He feels queer? Uh, okay. I think that's a sign that I am he is easily connected with. Because you're maybe projecting that onto him. Are these supposed to be Katara style hair loops? It's supposed to be like a cowlick, you know? Like his hair is floopy. He's got that floopy hair that the kids love. This is a pose I think I'm going to be seeing a lot. It's him with his hand behind his head, kind of. Now, got this back here. That doesn't feel long enough. This is the thing, right? Is that there's choices that have to be made um, um, when you stylize something, and there's a question of like, you know, obviously I don't want the proportions to be like too realistic, but I don't want them to be too ridiculous either. Let's just undo all of this. Got a hand here, shoulder here. And then and the other one is just kind of dangling. You know? He's wearing a shirt, so it's not going to be from this angle, you should be able to see his a little bit peeking out. What kind of drawing equipment are you working with? I am using a Huon Pro 12 in Clip Studio Paint Pro, formerly Manga Studio, if you're familiar with that software. And just, you know, the basic default stylus that it comes with. Still not happy with this arm, to be honest. What is the problem here? Thank you for the fun stream and hope you have a nice day. I have a tablet and Clip Studio Paint, but I just can't get myself to do art consistently. Is it important for you to do it consistently? Why not just do it when you enjoy it? You, Mildred, you are an amazing artist. Thank you, Commandante Marcos. Ugh. Not so great a speaker. I've been thinking about changing my name to Ollie, and I'm constantly scared. This is interesting to watch, LOL. Well, you know what we say around here. Do it scared, baby. Hey, we got our first porn chatbot. Welcome, porn chatbots. Now leave. Are you sure he's not queer? I am quite sure. He ends up in a long-term relationship with a trans woman, so he is definitely straight. Although I guess, you know, he could be pan or bi or whatever, but I don't have a story where that comes up in my head. Who's vulnerable? Hopefully everybody, baby. Anti-sex Mildred oppresses robots live on stream. I believe sex work is work. However, there is no work allowed in my chat. Is this going to be a woke reboot? Absolutely. That's the plan. We're gonna make all of the characters woke. We're gonna ruin mild-mannered jerks. Go woke, go broke. Let's get him out of here. You go over there. I feel like every drawing we've made so far, each one has gotten worse. In my opinion. I feel like the first one I did, like I got it in one. Like I really feel like this is him, you know? And then the more I think about it, the more I like try and like make it what's the word? There's a thing that happens when you draw, whereas if you just like do it and don't think at all, sometimes it just turns out great, and then you try and like make it all a process, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse. But in my opinion, the first one, I feel like I really nailed it, and then yeah, which is not to say that I'm unhappy with the other two. It's just I really feel like the first one, especially the hair. I love his hair in that first one. I think I'm going to do those loops where you can see the line go like that. I love that. I think that looks really cool. Have I seen The Sandman yet? It has a lot of queer characters. I've seen the first like 3 episodes, and I quite enjoyed it. Big Sand fan of the original comics. I will say, and I don't know if this is intentional, the guy they got playing Dream is just like so pouty. He's so pouty, just all of the time. And I know like Dream is kind of an asshole and kind of like a self-piteous kind of guy, but just like I can't help but laugh every time I see him on screen. Take a stretch break. Ah, yes. Have I considered a print version of Mild-Mannered Jerks, or would you be against someone committing it to print? Probably not the originals, but and this comic, whatever it ends up being called, maybe I will do a print version of that if it turns out that there is indeed a market for it. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm not against the idea, though. Can you really adapt Sandman to live action? I feel like the characters being personifications of the concepts makes it hard to work in a more realistic medium. I mean, yes, but you got to change it, right? Like, it's definitely not the same, as is true of any adaptation. And I think like there's a lot of ideas that have to be simplified. But you know, you tell the story. Like, if you just want to see the same story again, just go read the comics again, in my opinion. I think they do a decent job with what they're given. But you know, I'm only a few episodes in. I really enjoy the different takes on all of the characters. I really enjoy that they went in a completely different direction with John Constantine. Do wish that Joanna Constantine in the show was a bit more working class. I think that is an element of the character that they maybe missed in translation. But I love Jenna Coleman as an actress. I think she is constantly underused and underserved. So it's great to see her kind of stretch her legs a little. And I love just the character, and I love what they've done with it. So far I haven't seen a single person aside from potentially Dream themselves who have been like, oh, that doesn't feel like the right casting. Patton Oswalt as Matthew the Raven is I'm warming up to, but it took me a bit. Hey Mildred, I'm launching a Kickstarter for Leftist Games on Monday. Can I pay you for your time to look over the draft sometime? And if it is something you would want to promote with an affiliate link, you get 10% of pledges. Send me an email and we'll talk. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Go ahead and thoughtslimeeditor@gmail.com and we'll talk. Does the Sandman seem like something that could be enjoyed without having read the comic? Open to anyone answering. Absolutely. Almost more so, to be honest. Because I think that having read the comic, there's a lot of expectations going in. I tend to get so like messy in my sketches. Yeah. I don't know if that bothers anyone, but it's just like, that's just my process. Because like you've seen how I draw when I finish the drawings. You've seen them in the patron drawings. Like I tend to get very precise with my lines and shit. Not precise in the sense that like my inking is spectacular, but precise in that I commit to hard lines. But the sketches are always super loose and messy, which is a bummer because it means that I always lose something in the translation to the ink. Just stopping in to say that I helped my partner buy his first car today. We finally have stability that I would have never had in my whole adult life. And if you and your Discord hadn't helped me when our house burned down, we wouldn't be here today. Thank you. You're good people. Oh, that's tremendous to hear, Bamundalak. Are you still making videos? I think you mentioned on Twitter that you stopped. But either way, I would encourage chat to check out Bamundalak's videos. There might not be any more in the future, but check out the ones that were made. Not really. I teach pottery now. That's pretty cool. My wife really wants to learn pottery, which I'm going to be 100%. I don't 100% get, but I'm here for it. So part of the reasons that I draw like this is it helps me kind of visualize where the planes on the face are. What exactly is this stream about? What is the vulnerability you're talking about? So it's been a while since I've explained it, so I'm just going to explain it again. Basically, the idea is everybody is afraid to do things that they suck at and is afraid to go out there and be vulnerable and do things that are difficult for them or they feel like they are inadequate with regards to. So this stream is about learning to do it anyway, learning to be okay with failure, learning that the first step in getting good at something is sucking at it. So here I am making this comic because it's something that I dream of doing, but am afraid of my own inadequacy. So I'm just doing it in front of people to showcase, my own fear like that. And I encourage everyone here to share their stories where they have confronted their fear of inadequacy and their fear of failure, to do it scared. Whatever it is you're afraid to do it scared. I see the porn bot. I will remove them. No work in my chat, please. Hope that makes sense. That's kind of the condensed version. Okay, where were we? I think we will probably move on after this drawing to drawing someone else, just to get our heads straight, because I feel like if we just spend all of our time drawing Ollie, it's going to, just get old. And I think we've got a basic idea of how we want him to look and whether or not we can stick to that. We'll see. And I'm not going to do like turnarounds just because I don't enjoy it, is the truth. I probably should. It would probably be the professional thing to do. When I say a turnaround, I mean like a 360-degree view of the character. That would be very difficult for me in my brain to do, and I don't like doing it, so I'm not gonna. I still haven't done the scary part of this, but I'm writing a web novel with the intent of releasing it on Royal Road. I've never had anyone read something I've written before. Perfect time to start. Best time to start is 10 years ago. Second best time to start is right now. Look at this fucking guy. Look at this fucking guy. Nope. Nope. Also, here's a little thing you might not realize about digital art is most of the time you spend your time doing a line, pressing undo and doing it again until you get it exactly the way you wanted it in your head. This is I would say, you know what, we can just do a guideline of where we want the hair to go first, right here, and then we can do the twirlies. Who's stopping us? Nobody. And then he gets a couple of these, one of these. Oh yeah. Now we're getting somewhere. You spend most of your time doing a line. I didn't mean it in that sense. This is it's just when I think a non-visual artist sees a drawing, they think that like a skilled artist can simply sit down and like draw the thing perfectly. It's actually a process of constantly refining. You do it and then it's like, it's a little bit, it's closer. And a lot of it comes down to luck. A lot of the time that you are having like a bad art day, as they're called, it's like the lines are just coming out right. And it just takes longer to do them and it gets frustrating. I'm going through the process of being evaluated for autism. It takes a long time and I'm really anxious and filling out the paperwork is hard, but we're trying. Excellent example of doing it scared. I think the whole process of being evaluated for autism or any sort of neurodivergence is so counterintuitive and so set up against the particular neurotypes of people who want to get that diagnosis or that evaluation in such a horrific, ableist way that you struggling with that is perfectly understandable. And I think it's great that you are persevering and getting through it. And I hope that whatever answer you get helps you in the long run. But that is excellent. That is excellent vulnerability and excellent doing it scared. In my opinion. No, I don't want him to have. I considered giving him these guys, but it's too mullety. I don't like it. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the mic. It was probably not a pleasant noise. But a lot of the sketch process is just kind of, for me, like the sketches get fucking gross. Like these chicken scratch ass lines. I hate it. But like, then I would go in and I would do a new layer where I ink on top of it to make it look cleaner, right? So there's a concept in art called line confidence, where like if you want to draw a line, going like that is that's a confident line. But what most people do is they want more control, so they do it slowly, and it ends up looking like that. And you can see how it's shakier, right? I have a bit of stability on my, so I should do it even slower to demonstrate. But like, this is an example of an unconfident line, But if you do it super fast, it's just super smooth and clean. But that takes more skill, so you have to be more confident to do it, is the idea. So anyway, all of that to say, when I'm doing a sketch, like I don't give a shit about that. I chicken scratch it out and I let it be as unconfident as possible to get the thing I want. And then I go in on top of that and I ink with more confident lines. This is also a trick I like to use when I'm drawing glasses, is I like to draw just a big rectangle over the eyes and then split it up. I'm very happy with this sketch. I've never met an artist with a super neat sketches. Sketching is all about a controlled mess. Yeah, I know. I know. I'm not saying this to bring myself down. I'm kind of more so, I like to explain the process. I know that there are a lot of people here that maybe have never done visual art, or if they have, they haven't like done it digitally. And so I like to kind of explain the process for people that are new to it. Or maybe there are people that have very different processes. I find listening to artists explain their process, even if it's a very different process than I have, I find that very interesting. Um, the like I watch a lot of the YouTube channel Drawfee, excellent channel. They do like comedy drawings, but one of the things they do every so often is they have a recording of a piece that they do. Like it's not just live drawing; it's a drawing that they do from like beginning to end, where they sketch it out and then they do their whole process. And listening to them explain the choices that they're making is like it's fucking fascinating to me. It's such a scared bean vibe. That's kind of what I'm going for. He's a nervous Nelly. He's very much an unconfident, um, miserable kind of guy. Draw him a bit pudgier, I think. I've been drawing him the super twink style, and he's not. At the beginning of the story, he's supposed to be kind of a pudge lord, like yours truly. Honestly, Mildred has a lot to do with me trying to unravel these things, and it's really cool that the community here is open to talking about this stuff. I don't know what stuff you're talking about, but this is a celebration of vulnerability. So whatever it is you're unpacking, congratulations. How long have you been drawing in a dedicated way, Thought Slime? I would argue I have never been drawing in a dedicated way, but I've been drawing my whole life. It's always something I've wanted to do. It has universally been a dream my entire life to draw a comic and have that comic read by people, which is why I'm doing this. And it's always been one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'll do it eventually when I'm good enough. No, I'm never going to feel good enough. You just got to do it. You know, you just got to do it. You just got to do it and let it be bad. It's okay if it's bad. You're not hurting people by making something bad. Hi, Thort Slurp. I was just in Lumi's chat watching your latest video. I too was there, though I spoke little. Maybe he's wearing a bit more of a polo shirt than a suit and tie. I think a polo shirt is more demeaning. And sorry if you like polo shirts. That's just kind of how I see it. Having to wear like an ugly polo shirt, I think, is a very corporate thing. You know? Kind of, I envision him having to wear it all of the time. Um, because he just doesn't change out of his work clothes because he's too depressed. Unpacking whether or not I'm queer after being labeled straight my whole life, doing it scared. Yeah, like, you know who gets to decide that? It's you, and it's not, the person that it's not is literally anyone else. If you want that label, it's yours. I don't think anyone gets to dictate whether or not you consider yourself queer. I think as someone that I'm non-binary, but to most people I read as a dude, and I'm in a relationship with a cis woman. I think by most people would look at me and think this is a heterosexual dude. Would you, if I chose the label queer for myself, would you feel the need to correct me? But yet you'll do it for yourself, right? I think it's entirely up to people's own, how we don't need to gatekeep what labels people use for each other, in my opinion. I think this is it. I think we have nailed this right here. This is, I very much like where we've landed. I think the chublordism gives him a cuter vibe, making him a bit of a chubster. It gives him a he looks a bit more realistic. He there's a volume to him that is enjoyable. And it I don't know. I kind of want to give him a hug now. I don't know about you. Seeing him. Wild Men Are Jerks picking up where it left off in the late 2000s. It's a reboot, so the old stories are not in continuity because why would they be? This is, the characters are going to be very different from how they were portrayed because I've been thinking about them for 20 years. So they're going to be quite different. He looks like he works at Best Buy. Yeah, doesn't he? I like it. Which chat is the main one? I'm reading them both. Don't worry about it. Why is he sad? He's just not happy with his life. All right, get out of here, porn bot. Nobody likes your style. Is this for a comic? Indeed. You know what? Just because I like this sketch, I'm going to ink it. Just for the fuck of it, just for the joy of it. So when I do my inks, quote unquote inks, I like to do it in a new layer that is a vector layer. And there's a reason that I like to do that. With Clip Studio Pro, when you do something in a vector layer, first of all, no matter how much I zoom in, you'll notice there's no anti-aliasing, which is beautiful. Secondly, the way the eraser works is very different. So you'll notice that, see how these lines intersect one another? If I want to erase this line, this tangent, then it just goes away where the lines intersect. And that makes doing these inks so much faster. It is, if there's one thing you take away as a visual artist, it's learn to work with vector layers because they will change your life. Okay, I just undid creating the new layer, my bad. So we're going to, whoop. And it also means that, like, one of the, remember earlier when I was talking about line confidence? So one of the reasons that it's difficult for a lot of artists to do that is because if you want to start and stop your line at a precise space, it is very difficult to learn to do. A lot of artists do, very difficult. So, but why complicate your life unnecessarily, right? So you'll notice I've gone past where I want my lines to end. So now I can just go like this. And when I want to get rid of the ends, I just go like that. Simple as. I don't know if I'm, kind of want them to point in a little just for stylization. Right? And see how easy it is to clean up afterwards? Look at that. Beautiful. See how easy that is? Now, one thing I'm trying to avoid here is I don't want the lines to touch. And the reason for that that is called in digital art a tangent. And you want the lines to be as distinct as possible. You don't want them to like kind of line up with each other or confuse the viewer where the order of the lines is, if that makes sense. Thank you for making good leftoid content. Hydration check. Oh, of course, of course. I feel so damn vulnerable and sad in not good ways, lol, confused by healthy or safe vulnerability, but hope to understand and experience it someday. Well, Margot, I would say that admitting that saying that you struggle with vulnerability is an example of healthy vulnerability. I think that is true for a lot of people. I think that a lot of people would maybe even hide the fact that they feel that way, but you didn't. You were brave enough to say that you are uncomfortable being vulnerable. And that is something I think to be celebrated. So if you're looking for an example of positive vulnerability, look no further. You mentioned you like sharp lines. Do you, by any chance, like PS1 style models? I mean, I don't dislike them. I think it's an interesting style. I think that you know what is I think my favorite PS1 game visually. It would be Mega Man Legends. I feel like that game really took advantage of the strengths of that polygonal style. Mildred, you're really starting to make me want. You're really making me want to start drawing. I've always wanted to, but I felt I didn't have some sort of innate required talent for drawing and art. I would argue that it's actually easier to start without that innate talent, because let me explain it this way. With art, there's two ways to draw. There's what artists call shorthand, and then there's the way that a more talented artist, or a more skilled artist, I should say, draws. So if you wanted to draw a face, the shorthand of a face, right, is to go like this. You've memorized the shapes of a face, and you've drawn them, right? So that's what people perceive as like natural talent, right? Whereas what a skilled artist learns to do is to construct a face, right? Because you learn that what you're trying to do isn't to just draw something flat. You're trying to mimic a three-dimensional object using only lines. So you learn like where the planes are of the face, right? So like this comes down, and then you got that, and then you learn to construct the face, as I've been doing, right? And that's something that's a lot easier to learn to do if you start from scratch. You don't have to unlearn bad habits that a more talented artist might have to unlearn. So if that is what's holding you back, I promise you, you could not be in a better starting position. If you want to pick someone who's going to be able to learn to draw very quickly, it's the person that has never drawn before. They're going to have a much easier time. Which is not to say, I don't believe that if you have spent a lot of time drawing and you have picked up quote unquote bad habits, doesn't mean you're not going to be able to learn to draw. It just might be a little bit more difficult for you. As it is for me, to be honest. I have to unlearn a lot of bad habits still. So, don't let that hold you back. I'm just saying. I think it's okay that it's a little harder for you because you probably enjoy drawing more. So you'll still do it. See what I mean about losing something in the inking? Like there's a fluidity to the sketch that always goes away when you ink it. Or at least it does for me. But I think that's a very common thing among artists. Ultimately, I enjoy like the look of the finished product, but there's always just something. There's something about the sketch that is you can't reproduce always. My art teacher said you have to draw with your eyes and not your brain. I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. But, you know, probably your art teacher knows better than I do. There's a great book I would recommend to anyone who wants to learn how to draw. A book that I was not exactly able to take full advantage of, called Drawing from the Right Side of the Brain, that I think does a good job of outlining the concepts I'm referring to, of reproducing a three-dimensional object exactly how you see it, rather than attempting to use memorized shorthand. Which you can see, I'm not that shorthand is wrong. It's just that you have to learn the rules for why shorthand is used before you use it. If that makes sense. Like it's like I'm using a lot of shorthand here. Like this nose is shorthand. The way that I draw the ears is absolutely shorthand, but like I know why I draw them that way. I know the rules of it, and I know what the shapes that it is meant to represent, right? Is why I do that. And to be clear, also, there are areas where I'm absolutely cheating with it. There are areas where I use shorthand that I don't 100% understand, that I shouldn't be doing it, because I too have a great deal of bad habits, right? That is the spirit of this exercise, is for me to tell you. If you are looking at this and thinking I know what I'm doing, I don't, I promise you. I want it to be kind of, whoop. Nope. Nope. Now I'm thinking about this shorthand so much that I have to get this perfect. I have to get the ear perfect. No. I don't like this. Let's do this all as one fluid. Nope. Gotta draw that a little bit lighter. So another thing that you have to think about when you're inking, and admittedly is not my strong suit, is line weight. I tend to neglect that a great deal. It's something I want to work on as we move forward. But you want to draw like things that are supposed to grab your attention, or things that are on the outside and create a silhouette with strong, thick lines, and things that are on the inside with thinner lines. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's just, you know, one of those things. The problem with shorthand is if you learn to draw manga style, you might become really good at drawing, well, manga style. But as soon as you have to draw something unusual for manga, you're basically lost, because instead of learning drawing, you learn to draw specific things. I would argue the actual problem isn't that you only become good at drawing in one style. is that you actually don't become good at drawing manga style. You become good at photocopying drawings you've seen in manga style. It's difficult for you to understand the choices being made and how to make them appropriately because all you've learned is to copy what you've seen and not why they've done what you've seen, right? So if you have to draw like Inuyasha, I don't know what mangas people read these days. If you have to draw Inuyasha, you can probably do it really well. If you have to draw like a new character, your own character, it's probably pretty difficult for you, or at least more difficult because you haven't learned why Inuyasha is drawn the way he is, and every character ends up looking like Inuyasha because that's all you know how to draw. If that makes sense. Now, again, I personally, if that's what you enjoy, if that gets you drawing and that is enjoyable for you, I think that is perfectly fine. I don't think you have a responsibility to draw well. I don't think that is a healthy way to look at art. I think you draw it because you get something out of it. It's not for anyone else. If you want to just draw Inuyasha 1,000 times and you want to draw stories where everyone looks like Inuyasha, perfectly fine. That is your choice. Don't let anyone tell you that you have to do it any differently. I will say that if what you get out of art is like learning the how to change and improve, then like that's probably not the best strategy, but it's up to you. It's up to you what you want. I could never be a good fiction author. I'm not nearly creative enough, but I feel like I could be an amazing textbook author or something. Ha ha ha. If you don't want to do fiction, that's fine. To say that you could never do it or that you're not good enough is an excuse. That isn't what we do around here. You are absolutely good enough. You could tomorrow write a fiction book if you so chose. Would it be the best fiction book in the world? Maybe not. You might suck at it. The first step in getting good at something is sucking at it. This is what we do here. We're not afraid to suck. I'm giving him kind of like Mandark hair, if that makes sense. Very Tartakovsky. You can kind of see my influences there a little bit, I think. Humble brag. Definitely not afraid to suck. Hey now. And pornbots are out in full force today. He do have that Powerpuff hair, you're right. And here's a question for you, the audience. Do you think this looks better with his eyebrows visible behind his hair? Or sometimes I like that. You got them pickle eyebrows. Turned his eyebrows into a pickle. Funniest shit I ever seen. No, because I think his hair is already so complicated line-wise that I think it just looks like a squiggly mess. So I think we're gonna forget that idea. We're gonna get in real close to erase this bad boy. No, this is not what we wanted. Now the fiddly fart part of vector lines. Come on, there you go. You two, get out of here. Make my eraser a little bigger now. They shouldn't be visible. Visible, they shouldn't be visible. We're landing on, I think, invisible. Visible in front of the hair, like floating in front. That's an idea. Let's see how that looks. I think that would be an interesting stylistic choice. I don't know if I'm quite pulling it off, to be honest. I think that looks real weird. But thank you for the suggestion. I like the suggestion. All right. Now let's take the chubbiness to the next level, I think. We want him to be a chubby boy. Chubby little boy. Welcome, Raiders. Today we're celebrating vulnerability and doing things that we are afraid to do. Okay. Nope. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. There we go. Nope. Give that boy some moves. I think he definitely has them, but they're kind of like mushed up in his polo shirt, you know? I think if we see him without his shirt, which historically speaking, we probably will. if past results or any degree anything to go by, we will see him without his shirt many times. He's definitely going to have them tasty moves. Love this drawing in the art discussion, also because I'm a paranoid artist. Don't forget to save. I don't feel the need to save this. This is just practice. I don't care about this. This is throwaway art, is the thing. I want him to have like hairy arms. I want to visually convey hairy arms, but I don't want it to be a lot of work to draw. So I might just skip it, to be honest. Yeah, I don't like it. It makes him less cute. I don't like it. Someone said his name tag should be misspelled. I like that a lot. I think that is a very funny joke. So it's oily. Actually, let's make it full oily. That's good. I'm emotionally attached to this drawing now. You can always freeze frame it on the stream and, don't worry about it. I think I drew this collar as a button-down collar. Like polo shirt collars are a bit rounder. So I think, you know what I mean? Oof, this is... See, this is an area where, like, when you want to make changes, I should really go back to the sketch layer and sketch it out. But I'm lazy. A great thing I heard, I should have included this in my recent video about laziness and hard work. I heard someone say that you should always hire a lazy person if you get the opportunity. Because a hardworking person will always do things the most difficult way, but a lazy person will always find the easiest way to do it. And I think that is a great idea. I think this is good. I like this. Let's bravely turn off the sketch layer. Yeah, that's working for me. Let's give it a quick color Rooney. Just some flats, you know? Now, his shirt cannot be blue because it's too Best Buy. Yeah, we're using the fill tool, by the way. Fill tool's real good in Clip Studio. If I know of the works of Peter, first time watching, you just want to know if I've heard of the works of Peter Joseph. I have not. I'm going to use the washroom real quick. I will be right back. We back. Ollie is totally a cat. I don't see him as cat-like in particular. I view him as this very like beaten down, sad kind of guy. You know, at first anyway. He becomes a bit more. See, I didn't draw this line here. I'm now noticing. These are the things you pick up when you flat out your colors. Let me just go to the dangerously go back to the sketch, the lines layer. Actually, it's not as dangerous when you are doing it in vector because you can't use the fill tool in a vector layer. Also, a helpful thing to do, I find, is to get rid of the background so you can see what you have and have not colored. You miss my colored hair? What? I've never had colored hair. I mean, my hair has pigment, but I've never dyed my hair. In a video, at least. I have definitely, once when I was in high school, I dyed some of my hair blonde. Some of it, not all of it. That's oily right there. Oh, sorry, chat is blocking it for you. That's him. I think something that might look good, let's try this. I'm going to just give a little tint on the glasses, just to sell that they are glasses. I think that helps. And I think what would be like a corporate color to go with this awful green? Probably like a yellow. Oh, I'm still on half opacity. Bit of tape on the glasses as joiner, maybe? Nah, that's a bit much, I think. I appreciate the suggestion, but that might be that's I just don't see a lot of people do that in real life. It's something you see a lot in cartoons, you know? Welcome to Subway. Ah, you're right, it is Subway. Dang it. I just want to see what he looks like with the 5 o'clock shadow. See if I like that. Hold on. Gotta draw a thicker line because otherwise it won't feel right. And then I'm gonna get that color, opacity 100. Boop. How do I feel about this? It's too dark. Let me use the mouse here. Boop. Again, it's less cute. I think it has to be like almost the same color as his regular skin. You take on gray and take 1 to 2 streaks for glare and take the opacity down to 10%. Yeah, that's something I do sometimes do is the 2 vertical streaks. You can find a lot of that in my patron drawings to convey the glare. Oily is 19, ain't he? He is 25. It also doesn't 100% make sense, actually, for him to have a 5 o'clock shadow because he is meant to be invincible. So then the question is, if he shaves, does he have to cut his hair? And if so, if he like was lit on fire, would his hair burn off, you know? What about little lines for poorly shaved stubble? Yes, I think that would do a great job of conveying it, but I think that would visually complicate drawing him in a way that I'm going to have to draw this character like again and again and again, so I don't want him to be any of those little processes that are frustrating, you know? Oily is invincible, but Sag under capitalism? Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I think, first of all, we're just gonna lose that. He won't have that. I think maybe we'll give him bags under the eyes, which I should have done before putting the blue over the glasses. If I were actually doing this for real, the glasses would be in a separate layer for that reason. But I didn't, so. Superman has to laser off his beard because of the invulnerability. Yeah, again, Superman is significantly less invulnerable than Ollie is. The age-old question of Jack Harkness, shave or no shave. The shirt kind of needs to be a light blue. Is he meant to be average person chubby? I would say a little bit bigger than average, even. His shirt needs to be a light blue. It's visual shorthand for my job is harming my soul. I think his shirt just needs to match whatever the corporate branding of whatever place he works at is, right? So whatever place you draw, you end up making that look like have the same color scheme as the outfit. But I wanted to avoid blue because I think it gives too much of a what do you call it? Best Buy. Blue polo shirt is Best Buy, right? Okay, just Like maybe if we did it a little lighter. Actually, I like that light with the dark collar. I think it creates a very corporate contrast. You know what I mean? Blue with the green color is a hell of a look. Maybe a darker green. I don't know. How are we feeling? Darker blue might be... That's too dark. I like the blue I had originally. Not too dark. It's too saturated is the problem. This, I think, this is right. This feels right to me. It is a plus size women's clothing store is where he works. If he worked at an electronics store or anything like that, he could get electronics from it. A light purple then. That is true. Purple's a girl color. I don't believe that. I'm just... This almost looks cool is the problem. It's a nice color. Don't tell Lemmy that. I think people who aren't girls can wear any color that they like as well. This kind of works. Does Oily have to sell store-branded credit cards? Because that's truly soul-crushing. I would imagine there's something like that. One of the things that I had to do, I worked at briefly at a Toys R Us, and the day I quit was because they wanted us to sell. Basically, if anything you sold was over $15, you had to push a warranty on it, like up to and including fucking batteries, right? So this pregnant woman came in and she was buying like a car seat. And she's like, do you think I should buy the warranty on this? And the answer I was obligated to give was yes. But because before this, they give you the training on like the legalities of selling car seats, because it's very complicated, is everything that was covered by the warranty legally had to be covered just by default for car seats. Like literally everything. We weren't allowed to like, yeah. But I was still expected to say, yes, you should buy it. So, and I was like, no, it doesn't do anything. Like you get all of the benefits of it for free. Like it wouldn't make sense in this scenario. And I got chewed out by my boss for doing that. They were like, no, you have to sell as many warranties as possible. I was like, yeah, but the warranty literally has, so you want me to lie? And they're like, no, we don't want you to lie. We want you to sell warranties. And I said, but the question she asked was, should I do it? And the answer is no. And they're like, yeah, but you have to sell warranties. Like, so you do want me to lie? And they're like, we don't want you to lie. You just have to sell as many warranties as you can. So I was just like, fuck this. Fuck this job. Fuck you. All right. I will save this so that we can move on. New folder. Weekends. Always. All right. Say goodbye. He's gone now. You have to lie, but I can't say that you have to lie. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Now the part we've all been waiting for. Let's draw Deirdre. My favorite character in the story. Deirdre, I perceive as very angular, very severe, very like prissy, I guess is the word for it. So like Ollie is all like rounded curves. I think of Deirdre as very like sharp. So like she'd have like a, you know, one of these, like a witch nose. Actually, in her case, I don't know if, because the nose would be pointing down a lot more. So I don't know if the two triangle method makes sense here. Mm. I'm just figuring out shapes. Don't mind me. I say that she should be sharp and angular, but I never draw anything sharp and angular. Cutie raid, cutie raid, cutie raid. Who dares raid me? Kira chats, welcome. Welcome. Welcome to the weekend where we celebrate vulnerability. I just realized both of these characters are very reserved. They're going to have very similar expressions. So you might get the impression that that is all of my characters will be drawn like that. But Deirdre is likewise, like Ollie, very she's more shy. She's very sheltered and shy. So she's less of a, like Ollie dislikes himself and dislikes his lot in life. Deirdre is not unhappy. She's just very repressed and who is this Deirdre? This is one of the characters in the comic book we are working on because we are scared to do it. So she's not going to have all these egg eyes because she's not unhappy. She's just kind of doing her own thing. Picture sharp chin, very like powerful, you know. She also likes Muppets. That's true. So in this version of the character, there's going to be a more strict delineation between Deirdre and Midnight. Midnight, who is her alter ego, is kind of her sister that lives inside of her head, and then you get into the story as time goes on of why that is. But they're very much different characters with different views of the world. And Deirdre is kind of just like she's going along to get along. She works as a librarian. She very much lives in her own little world and is very like sheltered and meek. Very intelligent, but not very savvy, if that makes sense. She's not. I mean, I guess you could say that she's plural, but like in the story, there's a supernatural reason for it. So I wouldn't want to really associate her with any real life identity like that, not explicitly, because she is the result of so basically she is the story goes she is the daughter of Dracula in the comic, and as a result she's dealing with this like sort of dual nature as a person who is believes herself to be like half monster in a sense. So like the monster within her manifests as midnight, and so her soul kind of gets split into these two beings inside her, and they jockey for control, and eventually learn to appreciate one another. Is the idea. So souls are canon in this universe? Yes, there's a lot of. So the way that this universe is going to work is that it takes place in a city which has been designated by the physical manifestation of infinity and the physical manifestation of nothingness, having a debate on whether good or evil is more powerful. So there's this one area on Earth where consistently good and evil keep rising up and fighting forever. So like just tons of shit. It's just like the wildest, most like anything goes type of setting that is meant to be kind of like toyetic and kind of reminiscent of like Saturday morning cartoons, with like lots of like lots of stuff from my childhood, like mutants and all the things you would expect from a Thought Slime comic. Lots of oozes, lots of toxic waste. So she should have kind of a widow's peak to represent her heritage. You may want to do research on dissociative systems to help write this, but she's not. But like, that's the thing. This is why I'm explicitly not calling her anything like that, because she's not meant to be like a realistic depiction of a dissociative system. She's meant to, it's a supernatural thing which might parallel that in some way, but it's not like that. You know what I mean? Her hair should kind of like, I picture her hair like really pulled tight, like it's pulling her skin back almost, because it's a kind of visual representation of her kind of the social anxiety that she experiences. Her heritage as a Dracula, as the daughter of a Dracula. Make her look like a skull with a nose. I mean, kind of. Like, I picture her as somebody that doesn't do things she enjoys very often. She doesn't indulge in she doesn't have a lot of fun, you know? So she should look kind of gaunt and, you know? A daughter of a Dracula or the Dracula? The Dracula, who is himself a Dracula. Do I like the hair? I don't. Is she kind of like the one JJBA character that has two souls in one body, but they communicate with each other and switch now and then? I guess. She has like the backstory is that she's got this alternate being inside her head that talks to her, gives her advice, but she kind of represses, or so she thinks, that takes over during moments of extreme stress. And then she discovers, she fears it. She thinks of it as a manifestation of the evil within her. And she tries to hold it back. But then she discovers that it isn't evil. And they try to work together to do good. But they're in conflict because they see the world very differently. She's kind of like this, golly gosh, innocent type of person, whereas the Midnight is more of a pessimist and a pragmatist and ends justify the means type, who's eager to use violence and kind of a sadist. So that there's a tension between them. But they care about one another. Like it's like a half Hulk, half Batman type of deal. It's your classic Hulk Batman. I am not at all happy with the hair. I will say that right now. I think a lot of it has to do with I don't like the point that I had there. I think that was meant to communicate height, but I think it's better if it's just pulling back. Sounds like Moon Knight. There's a lot of Moon Knight in there as well, I suppose. I think with Moon Knight, though, it is more clearly someone with dissociative identity disorder, because Moon Knight like goes to sleep and then wakes up and doesn't remember being someone else, though they're not entirely consistent about it. Whereas Deirdre is like she looks in a mirror and has a conversation with herself. Is Midnight goth or emo? Definitely more goth. Definitely Midnight dresses in a way designed to frighten people. I believe this is the disorder known as Hulkamania. Well, that remains to be seen. If it runs wild on you, then we'll know. So yeah, her hair's got to be pulled tighter, I think. And it should be like sticking out. And I think there's got to be like stick-ups and to convey like she's frazzled. And I think we're going to visually contrast her with Ollie by giving her like this very straight posture, Like she I don't know how to explain it, but like a different type of self-conscious body language. Like Ollie is very like shrunken in, whereas Deirdre is more like I can't even do it, but she's more like holding herself in perfect, upright position, very stiff, if that makes sense. Is Batman goth? This is the classic meme. Batman is the intersection of there's two axes. One goes from jock to nerd, and the other goes from goth to prep. Batman is the exact intersection between all of these axes. He is both a nerd and a jock. He is both a prep and a goth. This is a kind of just hastily drawn. We're just getting this body shape. Now, those of you who are familiar with my drawing know that I very much dislike drawing breasts. It is absolutely something that I categorically I find very embarrassing to practice. I find it whenever I draw them, I end up drawing them as like weird bubbles, or they never look right, and I get very self-conscious about it. But that's what the stream is all about, baby. So we will be drawing dem titties. DPDR might be close to what you're thinking of. I'm not thinking of anything. I'm thinking of a fully fictional character whose experiences might sometimes be similar to those people in real life, to such people in real life, but is just a fictional superhero type of character with comic book logic. It's not realistic. It's not meant to be. She might be relatable, but she is not meant to be anyone's mapping to anyone's experience one-to-one. So I picture, I'm just trying to think, like she would hold herself with her hands kind of across like this. Yeah. Yeah, that feels right. My trick for drawing breasts is to do a different basic geometrical shape every time. So the way I think about it, okay, so they're here. And I'm trying to think like plane-wise. This is the lower plane. This is the upper plane. And I'm probably, for Deirdre, just going to do like a simple triangle like point as, because again, when I think of how Deirdre holds herself, she's the type of person that would have like, her clothing would be very constrictive and very like, you know, she's, you know what I mean? Wait, how did we get onto breasts? If we don't like drawing breasts, surely we don't have to. Well, I mean, if I'm going to draw a character that is meant to have breasts, I do have to draw them. It's difficult to draw them and not feel like I'm sexualizing the character. You know what I mean? See what I mean? Like, look how thick the lines are around the breasts, and it already feels like I'm putting so much emphasis onto them. It just makes me feel very, very self-conscious when I do it. Because you've been subconsciously trained to sexualize breasts. Yeah, I know, but it's a difficult even to consciously break the habit of just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. There. They're just body parts. I know this. It's just, it makes me very self-conscious to draw them. It really does. In a way that is difficult to explain if you're not an artist. Or even if you are, maybe. Drawing caricatures of people makes me feel like an a-hole. Why? Why would that make you feel like an a-hole? People love to be drawn. Trust me, people pay me to draw them. I'm just going to sketch out a very basic geometric shape for the hand. And we'll come back to it on another layer. Gonna make that eraser bigger, baby. There we go. Oh, nope, wrong tool. This is another thing, like working out the proportions of the characters. Like that hand is way too small. Because I was zoomed in, I wasn't looking at the drawing in its entirety. So I didn't see her face. Her hand is going to have to be way bigger than that. And one of the reasons for that too is that like it might not be in proportion to the rest of the body. But like with cartooning, you kind of want to draw hands and faces bigger. Because those are like two of the main ways that you convey expression. As a breast haver, I find it frustrating that most media depicts larger breasts as either sexualized or matronly and no in between. Yeah. Yeah, it's, well, I mean, it's a kind of a microcosm of how a lot of media treats women, to be honest. They're either sexualized or matronly with little in between. Okay. We'll clean this up in another layer. You can tell like Deirdre's a much more difficult character to get a grasp on how I want to draw her than Ollie is. Is this from the comic you were streaming the other day from college? Yes. Absolutely. So Deirdre is the type of person who would cover up as much of her skin as possible, I think. And I think she would have a very... So what's like a modern, aside from a turtleneck, what's like a modern high collar thing to wear? I think she would definitely be wearing like a long flowy skirt underneath here. And I think she would definitely have long sleeves. Like a cardigan? That's true. She would have like a layer on. That's a good point. So maybe she would have like a, just like one of these, maybe not high collared, but like kind of a, yeah, I think we're getting somewhere with this. Cardigan is an excellent suggestion. And that would have like a little pseudo collar, I think. You can't really see it because the sketch is so messy, but yeah, I think that's the way to go. Cardigan is 100% right. And we'll have that above there. And I think she would have like a little necklace or something tacky, a little heart. And now the part I'm absolutely dreading, which is drawing Deirdre's glasses. I want her to have big cat eye glasses, but I don't know if I'm... Those are very difficult to draw, and or at least they're difficult for me to draw, and I often fuck it up. But that's what this stream is all about, baby. Also, I feel like her eye is too far out, so we're gonna move that a little. Oop-a-doop. Okay. Most modest women I know wear hella cardigans. Yeah, I'm just perpetually confused by breast obsession. No shade to those who have them. I just don't see why society has made them such a focus. It is. It's because I think they are fetishized as like a totem of femininity. So they become sexualized in a way to portray the feminine as inherently sexual. That would be my guess. Um, so she wears these big cat eye glasses, and it's kind of like a. Why am I using the wrong tool? It's kind of like a reflection of the mask that she wears as Midnight. Like they're both kind of hiding their face, you know, but in different ways. Mm. I think in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have drawn her eyes. She should just have like the glasses be the outline of her eyes, which would make it significantly easier to draw, I think. You know? Because like Ollie, you can kind of see his eyes through his glasses. I think with Deirdre, and maybe this is something we have to work out. Maybe we have to do this differently for Ollie. Then is do we want like the visual style to like have the character's eyes through the glasses, or what? You know? Or is it okay if that's inconsistent? Like it's something you have to work out. These are the choices you have to make. It should come up a bit pointier. I think we're getting somewhere. She would totally run a channel where she swears and she wears Victorian clothing or something. No. Under no circumstances would Deirdre do that because that would bring too much attention to her. She's very much someone who wants to hide and take up into the background. Big glasses that take up the big eyes that take up the entire glasses lens. I mean, I suppose that does visually convey like it is kind of visual shorthand for this person has thicker glasses, which does kind of give her a more it does kind of establish a little bit about her character, I think. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't have to commit to one or the other glasses wise. I know this is the thing. I'm saying should I or should I not? I think both are interesting choices. Let's tighten this up in an inking layer just to see if we can get it to something we're happier with. I know we drew a bunch of ollies before we did an inking layer, but I just want to see if I can get this closer to how I picture it in my head. Because we might start over with this one. I'm not entirely happy with what I've done here, to be honest. It's hideous, but so funny. If you went for like alien eyeglasses, like the one Madonna has been wearing recently, I don't think she's that kind of character. Oh, no. I feel like her neck is very much coming out of her chin. Um, she's kind of like, you know, pulling back a little is kind of the what I'm going for there. I think her neck is in the right place for the pose that I had in mind. I think I might cheat it and move her eyebrows up. No, I don't like the shape I've done for the right lens. Yeah, that's better, I think. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. It's just for practice. Pedro from Brazil here. Just wanted to say thank you. Your latest video kind of saved my life. Oh, that's really nice of you to say. It's interesting that disability is often used as a metaphor in media instead of just a regular aspect of the character. Like gloves and glasses make you closed off and distant metaphorically. I don't know. I don't know if I would consider wearing glasses a disability as someone who wears glasses. Might help to scooch our head to the right. Her right or my right? Screen right. I don't know if I agree. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can see it. And we'll just go back to this. Just so we're not confusing ourselves. Now her neck is the thickest line. Also, I like how this gives her a bit of a long giraffe ass neck. It is kind of how I see the character. She do be giraffing. I think I'm going to cheat and draw her eyebrows a little higher. Just because it'll help sell the expression if you can see her eyebrows above the glasses. Don't know how I feel about that, actually. I think it's got to be like much more. If I'm going to cheat, I have to make it much more exaggerated, I think. Yeah, I prefer that. Is this the teacher from Jimmy Neutron? In many ways. Similar archetype, I think. Well, I said I wouldn't give her egg eyes, but I think egg eyes it is. They're just visually interesting eyes. maybe de-emphasize this widow's peak a little. It's a bit much. I am concerned that I have drawn this character far too complicated. I will have to simplify this design, I think. This I will never recreate this. And I'm not entirely happy with it anyway, so. Okay, calm down. No. Nope. 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 Closer. What if it was like, no. Because like it should be like, there should be more hair down here, really. Because it's all being pulled like back. What parts are feeling too busy? Well, the glasses for one. I think I need to find a way to really simplify the glasses. Like in my mind, if I'm going to draw them repeatedly, like even something like this, although that's a bit eviler than, you know what I mean? Just like instead of a realistic kind of shape that I was going for, if we just kind of draw them as something like that, you know, would be a lot easier. Anyway, is this for a comic? Yes. Your sketch has some angular bits on the right side of the head, not totally round. Yeah. I just don't know how I feel about that. Like, it does, I do like the contrast of like having one side round and one side more angular. It just creates a silhouette that I'm pleased with. It's definitely better. I really like the teardrop frame. I like it too. I think I'm concerned about like drawing it over and over. I feel like it's going to get real, distorted over time. Kind of just want to start over on this one, to be honest. Kind of don't like the direction it's going. So we're going to start from square one. I'm just going to move all of this to the side. Ooh. Don't worry, I have not deleted anything. It's still there. Let's try again. This is what you do. The buns seem unnecessary, to be honest. Oh, she's having a bun, baby. There will be no discussion regarding buns. She has a bun. Okay. She cute though? Yeah, not quite right. Not quite what I had in my head, you know? This is the thing. As they say on the Drawfee program, delete your art. Okay. Just some basic shape outlines just to get us started here. She should have a thinner face. So her cheekbones come to about here. Picturing like a... kind of lower ears, I think. The ears kind of being pointed down conveys to me like a kind of, you know. Maybe just drawing the two basic teardrops and not even worrying about connecting them or drawing them arms on the glasses. I suppose, but that's not really kind of what I enjoy. Okay, so let's work with the glasses here. I think they come to about up here. This is just it. See, like you can already see the shape kind of getting fucked up a little. Let's start with just two kind of shapes, you know, and then ooh. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it, I think. If you're wondering the way to do it, that's the way to do it. All right, then I imagine her eyes. So we want to get it to match the shape here. For general love in your newest video, what was which was so stellar? What software are you using? Clip Studio Pro. Might not work out with her personality. I don't know. I think there's something about like the glasses that give her kind of a standoffish vibe. Because she's the type of person, she doesn't like interacting with people, like she's afraid of people. Like I kind of prefer this, to be honest. I think this more so makes sense for her character as someone that is perhaps less than approachable. I realize that this eye wouldn't be here the way that I've done the shapes, but it just works. And I think you can kind of compensate for like the pissed offiness of the expression with the eyebrows. Like kind of give her like, first of all, she should have very like angular eyebrows. I was drawing them very curved. That ain't right. Like it gives her a very prim expression that I quite like. Like this is much more in line with what I was thinking. Okay, now let's think through this hair. There we go. See, now this gives more of like that pulled back look that I was talking about, because you can kind of see a bit more of her forehead, which also gives her like a younger look, you know? And I think this should be a bit more structured. And I think you have the kind of bun back here. Also, a Dracula should obviously have a widow's peak. Deirdre herself is not a Dracula. I want to make that clear. Version 2 is definitely working out better, I think. I think it gives her more of that, like, first of all, she's a little less pretty, which I think works for the character. She's both rounder and sharper, which I really like, and I like that it just gives her like a vibe. Like this looks like a person that you could know, you know? Hi from Russia, and use this as a chance to thank you so much. Your videos did a lot to help me break out of the liberal mindset, and your video on ADHD was a revelation. Thank you. I'm glad that that helped. It was a video that I wish someone had shown me a long time ago. I think the body I have drawn is too small, perhaps. Welcome to art, where sometimes what you're doing is just like putting lines down to see how does that feel. How does that line feel? You know? How do you feel about that line? Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? What are your thoughts on that line? You ask yourself. Can I draw like a... very back shoulders, you know. Where would we be without lines? Incorrect. Or correct, rather. You gotta have lines. I did not know you were a cartoonist. Yet another reason to follow and subscribe. In case you didn't know, the cartoons that I do that show up at the end of the videos, I draw all of those. I'm always surprised when people say they didn't know that I draw. Because I'm like, I put a bunch of drawings at the end of every video. I always worry that I'm like over shilling my Patreon, and then people say that, and I'm like, oh no, I need to talk about it more. Okay, so her neckline is about here, and then got ourselves this cardigan that I'm just making the sketch messier and harder to read as I go on. I don't like how thick her neck is. I think I overcorrected because I was afraid I would get called out for making her neck too thin. But like Deirdre, when she's in Deirdre mode, should be a character who looks kind of flimsy. Which is kind of like the idea, right? Is that when she becomes Midnight, she kind of takes on this other, everything about her that looks flimsy becomes a bit more like predatory and lean, you know? Is the slime profile picture done by you as well? No, that is done by Izzy 8-bit, who I did credit in the in my profile, so. And I think she does need the flyaways. The flyaways, I think, are such an important aspect of her. Should have one hand like this. Again, this is not right, but it's just something you could clean up in the ink layer. Probably for a drawing this complex, I would do 2 more layers on top. That's meant to convey her going like this, you know? But I would tighten it up a little and obviously make it more readable. But I'm much happier with this second Deirdre drawing. I think also, you know what? She should have big earrings. She's the type of person that would wear like big, childish, like fucking plastic Claire's earrings, you know? She's the type of person, and if you were this type of person, that's amazing, and I love you for it, who would coordinate her earrings to holidays. Like if it's Halloween, she would wear little jack-o'-lantern earrings, and if it's Valentine's Day, she would wear these heart earrings, or if it's Christmas, she'd wear little Christmas trees. Had such a bad day at work with abusive customers. Imagine my delight to see that Mildred is live and doing art. Thank you for brightening my day. You're welcome. I'm sorry you had a rough day at work, but I'm glad I could help. What is this drawing for? We are doing a little comic book because it's something I've always wanted to do, but I am afraid to do. But around here on the weekdays, we celebrate vulnerability and we do it scared. This is infinitely better, in my opinion. I think also Deirdre would be very tight-lipped, so like very small lips. You know what I mean? You can't really see it because it's, hold on. Let's clean up this a little bit, and then you just draw tiny lips that she is like pushing together with all of her earthly might. You know? Draw this one a little bit bigger and give it like a, you know? Let's tighten this one up a little. Oop, nope. And just cut down the opacity a little. Let's ink this out, just see if we can see what we come up with. My wife asked me if I went by Ethel now. Same vibe name. You can call me Mildred, you can call me Matt. Do not, under any circumstances, call me late for dinner, or you will pay the consequences. Where did my pen go? Pen got dragged into a different folder. Cool. Why is the opacity down? Because I put the opacity down on the wrong layer. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, we're back. The original drawing looks like her mom. You can kind of see it. Her mom, if I were to draw it, would be a much meaner lady. Her mom is not nice. Or her biological mom is nice, but her adopted mother is not. Probably gonna end the stream once we're done fiddle farting with this. And I'm gonna do another one tomorrow, and then every weekend until we finish the comic. So, tomorrow, be ready with your ideas for what you've done scared. Go out there, do something you suck at. Sometimes I need to make noises when I'm drawing, and you just have to get used to that. It's important to me that I do that. Now you can see there's a lack of line confidence in these lines. That's okay. This is not meant to be a finished piece. This is meant to be practice. Not everything needs to be perfect, you know, when you're practicing. I mean, nothing needs to be perfect anyway, but especially when you're practicing. How long do I expect the comic to be? I mean, I want to do an issue that is 20 pages, right? And then if people like it, I can do another one, and so on and so forth. Let's just get rid of all of this. This isn't right. Welcome to I draw a line and press undo for hours and hours and hours. Otherwise known as drawing. Better. Still not perfect, but I'm moving on. I can only imagine that to many of you, I'm drawing the same thing like twice, and you're like, why didn't you like the first one? How do you delete a line without the one you've done after it? So it's a trick of vector layers. One of the things you can do with vector layers in Clip Studio Pro is you can delete up to the point of intersection. So the way that you do that is if you go into the options and go with vector eraser. So like now I can go with that. If I just want to erase that part, if I want to erase this, I can get rid of that, you know? Are there any neurodivergent characters in this? I mean, I'm not really thinking about the characters in those terms, to be honest. I don't really tend to like sit with my characters and try and like diagnose them. But I mean, that's really, I guess, a matter of interpretation. When you see the characters behave, you can tell me whether you feel they are neurodivergent. Funny how it's the eyeballs you're having issue with. Isn't that always the way? Deirdre could be on the spectrum? Maybe. Messing with my head that this is vectors. Yeah, you gotta use vector layers, baby. It's just it's so much. It's like such a time saver. Ooh, what about little triangles? Kind of like that. Kind of like that. All right, now we've gotten to the point where we must deal with the hands. Before we get there, actually, before I forget. So it's like just thinking it through. Have you tried using the pinch line to nudge your vector lines? It's pretty fun and handy. Yeah, I don't know if I want to get started with that because I will just spend all day doing it. Hold on one second. I need to pee again because I got that ADHD piss brain. ADHD people never know when they have to piss until it's an emergency, is what I mean by that. 1 second. We back. Now, where did I put my stylus? Here it is. I think I have accidentally figured out the shape of this. So it's more like, ooh, hell yes. That is a good little shorthand hand. I'm actually, I don't know if it reads, oh shit. I don't know if it reads like the way I want it to, but this is like, and then the other one is going to be, do I like zucchinis? I love a zucchini. I love zoodles. Deirdre might have that tattoo, but she would absolutely, like, she would love the idea of that tattoo, but the idea of actually getting a tattoo, she's like, that would terrify her, I think. I think this should, like, hold on. We can do this even better. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Let's see. Here's where you see the disadvantage of vector lines is like if you're using it to kind of figure out the shape, you end up with a lot of flyaways that you need to take care of. Not that pointy. These are human fingers. Mm. Is it common for people with ADHD to pee unnaturally fast? I don't know, but I do know that it is a thing that like, and I thought this was just a person. It's one of those things where I'm like, oh, this is just a personality quirk of mine, and then you discover, oh no, this is ADHD. Uh, People with ADHD tend to not notice sensory input until it gets urgent. So you don't realize you have to pee until you like absolutely have to go, or you'll piss your pants. All right, this is bugging me. Get out of here. There we go. Much better. Yeah, except, hold on. There we go. Again, these hands are not like perfect, but they're good enough for our purposes as just a demonstration of what the character looks like. You will observe that I have somehow gotten out of drawing breaths again. Is it just me, or is driver's ed really boring and monotonous? Feels like I'm working a minimum wage shift when you can just turn your brain fully off. I disagree. I find that when I am behind the wheel of a car in driver's ed, it's like I am white knuckling it the whole time and terrified every second. So time passes as though I went into a coma. That's her. Hmm. One thing I am rethinking is I liked them at the time. The triangles, not loving. The thing is, I think she should always kind of look surprised or like, nervous. I wonder if we could just. Doesn't help, eh? She seems like an extra hot venti black coffee at 6 a.m. kind of lady. Yeah, but like a thousand, a thousand teas, I imagine. She's the type of person that drinks way more caffeine than you do, but drinks it all in tea form. Give her like... Just had to know. Do you do the thing where you flip things horizontally to see what needs fixing? I have a dedicated hotkey for it, baby. So right away, yeah, I'm seeing some structural issues. Again, more of a design thing than a getting it right type of drawing, if that makes any sense. One problem is that this goddamn thing, the glasses are going to be the bane of my existence. I can tell you that right now. Mm, okay. The issue we're having here is that this should be more rounded off. Hold on. I mean, that's a bit overcompensated, but I did not mean to do that. Let's get that level. I don't know. First of all, sometimes you don't need to add lines. All right. Let's just give it a quick and dirty color job, and we'll call it a day for today. So Deirdre would have black hair. Now, traditionally, when you're working digital art, you wouldn't want to use the fill tool. But the fill tool in Clip Studio Paint is actually really good. You absolutely can use it, despite what people will tell you. Now, glasses should be a desaturated red of some kind. I don't love any of these for that. This is not desaturated at all, but still, let's just try it. It is incredibly not desaturated. It's more pink than red. We're going to have to do our own color. Where we're going, we don't need their colors. We want dark and desaturated. There we go. She's as pale as the Dickens. That's not pale enough, in my opinion. Does not get outside. Somewhere she too listens to a live stream and draws. Perhaps. She's got heterochromia to represent the dual nature that, of herself. Did not mean to switch to a different. Oh no. Oh no. This was what I was on. Okay. Now her lips. We want a very understated makeup on Deirdre. She's the type of person who would absolutely wear makeup, but absolutely not want to draw attention to it. One eye is blue, the other eye is Dracula. So the idea is she has heterochromia, but then when midnight takes over, both of her eyes become blue as kind of like a visual symbol of who is in control. When it's Deirdre, it's one brown, one blue. And then when it's midnight, they're both blue. I'm too late to the stream. Can I find out who this character is before it ends? This is Deirdre / Midnight. She's a character in the comic that we are working on as this project moves forward. And I think her glasses should have like that thing. I don't know what you would call it. It's like a little ornament that's in the corners. Am I going to get this published? I mean, depending on your definition of published, I'm going to try. That's her. That's Deirdre. I also like the cardigan is such a good suggestion because it what I like about it is it's so close to what her midnight costume is going to end up looking like, but it conveys something so different, and I find that really good visually. I think of her love of Muppets and her dad being a Dracula. It would be peak comedy if her dad was the Count from Sesame Street, or the version of Dracula from Forgetting Sarah Marshall would also work. Keep us updated. I'll totally buy. Oh, I'm going to be doing the entire process, making the entire thing on stream. So, yeah, you'll be updated. You'll get all the updates you can handle, baby. I'll be back tomorrow updating this goddamn thing. You think I won't? Fucking try me. If her eyes change color, does that mean she has transchromia? What am I, an optometrist? You think I would know? Cut it out. All right. Well, thank you for coming, everybody. Remember to do it scared. Remember to get out there and do something you are afraid that you suck at. I will see you tomorrow, probably around 2 or 3 for another session. And we're going to get this fucking thing done. Baby. A baby. Because I want to reward people's vulnerability and honesty, I will not be reading from Rob Elliott's Laugh Out Loud Jokes for Kids at the end of these streams. It's not that kind of stream. It's not about punishing people. It's about rewarding people. So we're not going to be doing that. And I hope you all have a beautiful evening. Thank you for joining me. And let me just send you on over to this channel. Do I get that right? Yes. All right. Be at peace. I will see you tomorrow. Do it scared. Get out there. Suck more. Think less.